Okay, perfect.
Hey, Brad.
Yes. Who's this?
This is Lars.
Hi, Lars.
Oh,
Welcome.
hey, Lars. Okay. All right.
Right,
Hi.
Well, Libby, welcome.
we are live.
Okay, thanks.
You.
All right. I'm just on voice only because I'm still at the office.
That's fine. Is YouTube all set?
We are all set. Yep.
Okay, so we will go ahead and call the meeting to order today, the 15th of March. Can't believe that. At about 4:03 p.m. First, we'll go to the joint sewer and water district meeting. First item on the agenda is to welcome our new commissioner, Lars Trotzen. Welcome, Lars.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Happy to be here.
And Lars,
welcome aboard.
and if you've got any questions or anything like that, please feel free to get in touch with Susie, John, or Dylan as well, and they can, try and get you up to speed on anything you might need some information on, or any of the commissioners too as well. So,
Great. Thank you. Will do.
okay. Second item on the agenda is discussion of potential action regarding approval of minutes for February 22nd, 2021. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts on those minutes? Or feedback? Okay, sounds like that is a no. I read over them. I don't see any changes that are necessary, so I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from February 22nd, 2021. We'll need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, Sandra seconds. And then Diane, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, Kathy?
Aye.
Sandra?
Aye.
Okay, Lars, well, actually, you can vote, actually, even though you're an alternate and you're not I don't think we need a alternate voting right now, but we'll go ahead and take the poll, and it looks like Tom just signed in too. Okay, and Tom votes aye as well, so motion carries. Okay, item 3, discussion of potential action regarding setting calendar for fiscal year 2021 budget work sessions and the public hearing and financial meeting. Okay, has everyone looked at the schedule that was put together? We have a budget work session that is tentatively scheduled right now for number 1 of April 27th at 4 p.m. March 27th at 4 p.m. No, that's April. Okay. Is the second one, okay, moving into May 4th at 4 p.m. That's what it is. And then May 11th, if we need it for a work session, budget session number 3. And then the joint monthly meeting for a public hearing and to adopt the budget would be on May 17th at 4 p.m. And I believe right now the annual town financial meeting, that's on a Saturday? Is that right? Oh, June 21st, I'm sorry.
That's
I'm
just
misreading
like
that.
yeah, that's just fast forwarding. And it's the water sewer financial meeting, not the town
Okay.
financial meeting.
Okay. Okay.
So all these
All right.
meetings are still continuing via Zoom?
At this time, yes, unless we hear any changes with regards to what's going on. And I don't anticipate there being any real changes in April, maybe in May, but we don't know at this point.
Yeah, just the
That'll be
statewide
an interesting town
anticipation.
financial meeting, actually.
What I was going to say is the
What's that,
anticipated statewide feedback right now is that they're going to keep the status quo, which is even if you're able to meet in person, you still need to have the adequate means of alternative access. Now, the annual financial meeting is a different animal altogether. It's not a meeting that's subject to the Open Meetings Act. However, we'll have to, as we get closer to that day and time, we'll have to figure out what's best. There's a couple different options that didn't exist last year that now exist under the new law. So, but at least the budget, work sessions and everything, those will all have to be on Zoom in some form or fashion.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that looks good. I know traditionally we definitely usually need the 2 budget sessions. We'll see if we need the 3rd one. There's probably going to be a lot of different things happening this year, so I'm not sure where we'll fall on that, but we'll find that out. Anyone have any questions on that? So I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the proposed meeting calendar with regards to the budget work sessions, public hearing, and annual financial meeting for sewer and water. Any second?
I'll second.
Okay, Sandra. Okay, Kathy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, Diane?
Aye.
Sandra?
Aye.
Lars?
Aye.
Okay, and I vote aye. That's unanimous, so motion passes. Item 4 is discussion potential action regarding the expiring commissioner terms. Next page on the meeting. Okay, so the people that are expiring this year would be Diane as an alternate. You've got Lars, oh, because he's fulfilling a position for alternate right now. Peter McNerney on sewer, and then Lars as an alternate on water, Diane on water, and Peter on water as well. Is everyone fine to, we'll have to ask Pete, I'm not sure what's going on with him, but as far as Diane and Lars, are you guys good for re-upping?
I'm fine to continue on, yes.
Yep, me too as well, Brad. Thank you.
Lars, since you haven't finished a full, okay. Since
I
you
know.
haven't finished a full meeting, I'm assuming you're good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Yeah.
I'll get in touch with Pete and we'll see what's going on there. I know he hasn't been at the last few meetings, so. Next item on the agenda, discussion of potential action regarding private water sewer line policy. Dylan, is this more you or is it both you and John on this?
A little bit of both, I believe, right?
Yeah,
John?
I would say it's a little bit of both. I took the time over the last month to review John's insight into this matter, the rules and regs as water has outlined, and I've done some research for other towns, specifically Narragansett, in regard to low pressure mains. So at this point, I would just ask the commission to review some of the, I guess, paragraphs, and let's start a discussion about, what direction we want to go, what types of limitations. I think both John and I put together a pretty comprehensive, a good start anyway for all of this, and I look forward to the discussion.
So now, if I'm reading this correctly, after the line's in, it will become ours. Is that correct? Or is that after 10 years?
Well, so that this is the I guess the dialogue that needs to begin. It's how far do we want to go? When do we want to take over if we do claim ownership on a private sewer line? What's the stipulations there? I think we need to really get down to understanding what we need to facilitate or mediate some of these transactions, whether or not it's worth our time to do so. How far we go here, because a lot of time is wasted going back and forth over this, and it could be done, I think, a little bit more efficiently. I think John and I have put together a good start for the dialogue, but as far as where the commission wants to go, that's up to you and a policy decision. And I just kind of want to start throwing out some ideas. Because I believe that
we've talked about this on and off for a while. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, it comes down to this. we could say, well, it's a private association's responsibility. And then should we then require every, say for instance, private roadway to develop an association? Can we do that? If they are not going to claim ownership, or no one wants to take responsibility for cleaning the line, for instance, does that fall on the sewer commission? What, if any, fees are assessed? How do we look at that? If anything should break or say, for instance, we're jetting the line and something backs up and on somebody's sewer line. All of these have to be looked at, I think, and we have to get everyone involved in the discussion, so. There's a lot there, I guess, long story short.
So I have
Yeah.
a question.
I would urge everyone to kind of read this. Go ahead, Sandra.
That was my question. My question is, we're gonna read this and either send in our comments or discuss it at the next meeting?
I think that's appropriate.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, the first document you're seeing is it starts with 6 private water mains and lines. That is from the existing water district regulations with track changes. So anything in red is scored or underlined as new. I tried to incorporate some of the items that we've been talking about. It's my opinion on the water end. I don't want anything to do with private water and sewer lines on private land. Sounds like a mess to me, but Dylan and sewer might have something else, but that's really a policy decision. I've always seen it as the responsibility if there's a private water line on private land. I don't know why it would be taken care of by the public, in my opinion. If there's someone wants to extend the water line underneath a public right of way, that's a different scenario. And those are laid out in here. So yeah, if you guys give it a read, the second one, I guess, is Dylan's.
Yeah.
Kind of Dylan's take at it and on the sewer end. So I urge you guys to read these and make your comments.
John?
Yep.
It's Tom Doyle. What did Jim Jeremiah recommend?
Jim will take a look at this too. Jim really wanted a 10-year moratorium was his big, so we don't get ourselves into a Palermo, Whitford mess like we did, a year and a half ago, Dylan?
Yes.
Where after 10 years, kind of it's a 10-year moratorium on, you can't get your money past 10 years, or if it changes hand, which was the case of Whitford Palermo, which is Miss Whitford inherited or purchased it and was looking to get money. So that was one of Jim's a sunset clause, as he called it, in there. That was one of Jim's big things. We don't want 30 years down the line, someone saying, hey, you owe me for this. If no one develops on it after 10 years, then that's it.
So can we have some sort of a document or some sort of markup of something with Jim's comments first?
Sure. Jim is not seeing this. I mean, I think Jim's things are the sunset clause and the documentation of the cost of the line were Jim's. Would you agree with that, Dylan?
Yes.
Those are two big Jim's items.
If those were two of the items, then do you just say, give us invoices, or do you give proof of payment as well? Or a bond for that?
This has been the contention is that they've never had to hand anything in, and I'd like to see invoices and proof of payment myself. My big question is, I'm 100% for a sunset clause. My big question is, do you do 5, 6, or 10 years? I mean, and that's the big question. And I think Jim is the one that's recommending 10 years right now. But I'm in John's court as far as the private lines and everything, because when they do break, it's Dylan and John that end up having to do the repairs on them most of the time. And in the past, we've never had invoices or anything like that submitted, to my knowledge, and that should be mandatory. If they don't submit anything, then there's nothing there for them to have.
And the old town connection, there was an attempt to, I guess, socialize the cost between the neighborhood. Now, to my knowledge, no one is directly hooked up. So we've paid all of the fees, but we haven't been reimbursed back from the private party. So, there should be some type of, I guess, incentive and hold over individuals to connect if they're going to put forth all of this effort, and then they're not paying back the specific fees. We need to have some kind of teeth on this to hold people accountable to what because otherwise, for me, and for John, it's a waste of time.
Do you want,
Yep.
does everyone want Susie to provide this in a Word document? This currently is in a PDF, and if people want to comment on it, it would be much more useful in a Word. Does that
Yeah.
something you guys want?
That's
I
a good,
think if
that's a
you can
good
email
idea,
out a
Jeff.
Word document, yeah.
Okay, all right, we'll have Susie do that.
I had a question about some of the wording, or do you want to leave that go until we all have the Word document?
You can,
I would suggest, so we don't draw this out, Tom, is that everyone take it. We'll get the Word document from Susie. You can write your own notes on it, and then we can do this, because we could
Okay.
get stuck
Okay.
on verbiage here for a long time.
Well, no, it's just some of the wording isn't clear, that's all. But we can wait and do it. Fine.
Okay.
so Tom, this is definitely a rough draft. This is we're taking a crack at it, kind of putting the general ideas to you. And then, David asked if you wanted to look at them, and I said, hey, let's get the general policy in, and then we'll put it by David. So I don't want to spend money on David to, look at our rough drafts pretty much. So once we get
Yeah.
the policies in there, David will start looking at it, and he'll start
Okay.
cleaning language, because I'm not a lawyer. So, but yeah, we'll have him a look at it when we get.
In other
close.
words, it's got to go from easy to understand to most difficult to understand.
That's right.
Yeah, usually.
Okay.
All right, we'll look for your
All right, so,
comments, and I'll have Susie email that out.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we're not going to take any action on that. Item 6, discussion of potential action regarding retroactive and current compensation increases for employees. Is that going to come from you, John, or?
Well, I had put on this discussion because the town is following a recognition that there was a certain amount of money held with a plan that they would review after the new year. And I don't necessarily know that, because they were applying step increases and the like, and they've gone into a different direction than what we would usually go in. So my thought is I would like to see some specific projections for increases for my staff and for and Susie included, and whether we say it's 2.5% over 2 years, so say 5%. There is a discussion about making Joe principal operator, so I would, and as such, there'd be other projections involved there. I would be requesting a slightly higher percentage at 6.3% for Joe over the next 3 years, as he would move into principal operator and then assistant superintendent. This would bring, so these, as far as looking at pay increases, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Well, we're just starting now. We're not like you'd be talking about Joe in the budget cycle, Dylan. Is that correct?
That's correct. All I'm looking for is just to kind of get finance involved in the discussion and start getting some projections there as we move into budget season.
Okay.
And understanding where you're at with it.
I'm looking at following the town now for, because we didn't have, we didn't give it raises this year. Because we, this time last year, we all remember what we were going through. We thought it was going to be a horrible summer and everything else. So that didn't necessarily materialize. In fact, water metered flow is higher than it was last year. Our water budget, we're well above our previous year. So,
Sure.
I'm not looking at this from a budget standpoint next year. I'm looking at it from, following what the town has done and retroactive raises and then current raises to, support the staff and get some morale here as we head into summer and as we've had a long year, and the revenue shortfalls didn't necessarily materialize. So I believe Mona
Well,
worked up
we've
something. So
we've had some discussions on this, John. I know you and I have, and from my point of view, you, Dylan, and both your staffs have done a phenomenal job and worked very hard for it. Things did not materialize, didn't come out the way it was expected, and I think that we should be looking at this, and I have no problem with getting the numbers and looking at it. And if Mona's already done some research on it, if she can forward that on, I think we'd all like to look at that.
I can do that.
So,
There any
I
thoughts
can
on
also give you the
anyone?
numbers now if you want approximates.
If you want to go ahead and kind of give us a summary on it, that's fine. I would request
Sure,
that you
sure.
email out
Okay.
copies of stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah, I will do that. So I was just looking at a general 3%. I think we've kind of discussed that before, just as a starting point. So 3% raise across the board. So the impact as far as going back retroactively and then increasing the rate for the rest of this fiscal year. For water, we'd be looking at around $3,500 total change. And then for sewer, we'd be looking for around $5,500. So that's the adjustment that would happen over on the, the wages, the benefits, and
that's-
the taxes.
That's
line.
retroactive, or that's
That's
retroactive?
with retroactive to October 1, yeah, and then carrying through the rest of the year. But
Okay.
again, that's at 3%, so it doesn't
Well,
quite match.
shoot us
the
hard
numbers
copy of that. I
Dylan's-
have no problem. I mean, I think that's with everything that's gone and the amount of work that had to do and everyone covering everyone with limited staff, I think, and doing a phenomenal job. I think that's well worth it from my point of view. But let's shoot the numbers out and see if we can't
Will do.
go from there.
you want to put
Okay.
this on next month then, Brian?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have to have something. I think we have to have something, if I'm not mistaken, Dave, in front of us to vote on, don't we?
Well, technically, this isn't a collective bargaining agreement. If it was, then you would have the required written fiscal note in which you would need to vote on. I did go over that with Mona earlier today to verify. So you could do it based on the oral representation, but it's a comfort level if you would prefer to see the numbers in front of you and have that included as part of the packet.
How does everyone else feel? Sandra?
I feel,
What's that?
this is Diane. I
hear
feel it's totally, can you hear me?
Yep.
This is Diane here. I feel it's completely reasonable, that increase, and going back. They did, like you said, a phenomenal job this past season. I think it's within our budget to award that raise for sure.
Brad,
Without question.
this is Tom.
Yeah, Tom.
Yeah, I agree with the
Yeah.
sentiments. The increase is well deserved. I would like to see something before I vote on it, though.
Okay. All right. Sandra? Kathy?
Yeah,
It's Kathy. I would like to see it also, maybe at our next meeting, have, that put out so we can see how it would affect our budget. But, I don't have a problem with that at all. I think that they deserve every bit of that.
I think the budget's in very good shape for that, but yes, I think the general feel, let's hear what Sandra says, just to see something in writing.
I agree. Yes,
Okay.
I agree. It's always nice to see the numbers too.
Okay, so let's put it on the agenda with the numbers and everything, and then we can vote on it next meeting, okay?
Agreed.
Okay, okay. Discussion potential action regarding discussion potential action regarding rate design study and work group from 2020. This was kind of put on hold because of the pandemic. And John was working very hard on it at that point. And since we're starting to move into a new fiscal year coming up, I think he's put this back on the agenda.
Yeah, so this is prep, I'm kind of prepping for the budget, and I just want to rekindle some of these discussions. If some of you may or may not remember, about this time last year, I believe it was February, March, Brad, Dylan, me, and Mona and Susie were meeting. I don't know, we'd meet every other week or so to go. We developed kind of a rate design working group to look at the rate structure. And if you look, I just want to rekindle this, and nothing's set in stone. I just want to get the basic ideas back in your guys' head as we go forward through the budget workshops. If you look at the graphs, and I think everyone agreed in the working group that graphs were just the best way to view this. So these graphs have been developed from 3 years of flow. I've throughout this past year, but when I made these last year, it was still pre-pandemic. So if you look at just take this water sheet, if you're looking at it, the red line there, current water rates, you can see how January, February, March, we have the same rate. We tiered up April, May, and June. July, August, and September is our high rate. And then October, November, December is in this like kind of middle zone. If you see the next blue line in the middle, that's actually reflecting metered flow, average meter flow per month. So you can see that our metered flow and our rates don't really match up. The point of a seasonal rate structure is to capture revenue when you're the busiest and when your facilities are being pushed the hardest. It's a typical rate structure for seasonal places like us. The other thing I see in books and stuff is ski resorts do a lot of seasonal flow. When we're high, we have to have higher rates because that's when we're being pushed. So if you go down to the bottom graph, that these are the recommendation of the working group is to have kind of January, February, March, April rate. You step up a little bit in May, and then you kind of have two-tiered shoulder season rates. You have your high season rate in July and August when we're the busiest, and then you tier back down in September and October, and then you go back to your winter rate in November and December. I am stealing this a little bit from the power company is where this really, and they obviously have the same curves as we do. But when the power company went for their rate case with the PUC, I went, geez, that's, maybe we could look at this. And you see how the curve of the blue curve and these proposed rates match very closely. The bell is of a similar shape. So we really don't need to vote on anything. I just wanted you to look at this and get your mind into it. I will continue to work and kind of renew my familiarity with what we were doing. And maybe we can have that group meet up again, maybe once before we have our budget work sessions to kind of get this a little closer to where we were at. But we were in a good place when we left that. We just said there's too much going on in the world. We'll look at it next year. So here we are looking at it next year.
Question?
Okay.
Is that
Yes,
Tom?
Tom.
I have a question. So the explanation to the consumer would be that the restructuring of the price would follow the demand curve.
Exactly. And this
Okay.
necessarily won't mean, it depends on what kind of customer you are. for a year-round customer, a resident, this won't make much of a difference in their annual bill. If someone's just coming in on July and August and renting their house, yeah, it's going to have more an effect on their bill. And we've worked out all those scenarios in a much larger spreadsheet. So yeah, if you're just taking the cream of the crop and renting your house in July and August, it might cost you more money at the end of the day. I don't think it was bigger, but the point is to capture that money. When you're busy, you have to charge more. So so anyway, I just don't think our current rates reflect that. As you can see, there's much different patterns to that graph.
No, right.
They
do not.
It's done by financial quarters, and I believe that it was a limitation maybe of the billing software. It was like, hey, we're going to do just it by financial quarters. Guess what? The tourists don't care about financial, quarters. Then that's what ours is based on. So we're trying to get away from that.
Thank you.
I think it could actually assist in maybe some water conservation, for some folks, maybe not so much for, the hotel industry, but for some others, it may actually help to decrease the usage a bit if the water is more expensive, during those high months.
Yeah. You can shower with a friend.
There you go.
That is a consideration of a seasonal rate structure. Is conservation is definitely another benefit from having a seasonal rate structure.
And John, Dylan Chase again, as I understood it, and we left it because we were, just understanding the principle, it's where the high impact user pays for that increased infrastructure needed to carry that high impact use. So it's, I believe, the goal that the commission had articulated at some time ago was to, I guess, associate more of the cost to that high impact user, and to understand that that reflection is absolutely critical when we're looking at long term. So that's how I understood it. Was that correct, John?
You put it better than me, Dylan. Yes, that's exactly correct. Yep. We can move on.
Any other questions or thoughts right now?
Yeah, like I said, I just want you guys looking at this for when it comes up. And Brad, Dylan, Mona,
Budgets.
can we maybe work on a Zoom meeting or something to kind of rekindle all this?
Yeah.
At some point over
That
the
would
next
be a good idea.
Definitely.
You guys are good with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. Moving into the sewer district. I think Peter's on here right now. Do you want to take over, Peter? Or?
Sure, he is, but I have a question. I'd also like to be in on that Zoom meeting about the sewer rates. So you're going to include me in that.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I was reading, listening and reading the graph. Sorry, I'm just filtering my way back to the minutes. Give me 1 second. Or to the agenda. Sewer. Let's see here. Discussion potential action regarding financials and aging. I guess we have Mona there.
Yep. Hi.
Hi, Mona.
So, not a lot to report this month, kind of a slow month, but I just wanted to say that, so we're at 99.8% of our budgeted figure. We know we're going to exceed that. We're still under where we were last year. That's we understand that also. As far as projected year-end financials, I wanted to wait to get March under our belt, and then I'm going to have some year-end projections for you at our next meeting in April, just in time, before our first budget work session. I'll have projections with and without the proposed raise and the retroactive impact of that. And then we'll also have some projected year-end reserve balances to take a look at. And that might help drive some of our decisions on capital projects, or if we want to increase our reserve target levels. See, other than that, as far as the financials go, are there any questions on the financials?
About where we
We,
thought they would be, actually.
Pardon?
Looks like the collections is going, I think the financials are about where we expected them to be, and the aging is looking actually pretty good, with the exception of a couple of customers on there, i.e. on customer 110 on the first page.
Yes, and we're down to 3
Any
in the tax
activity
sale.
there?
Definitely, yeah. I've had contact from all of the last 3 properties in the tax sale. All have made plans to pay, and I really expect that they will all pay before the tax sale. We've just passed the final, the second to last step in the tax sale, which is the 40-day notice. Those just have will go out this week, I believe. And so we're gonna. This is it. We're going to know the results at the next meeting as far as who's going to be in the actual tax sale that's scheduled for April 30th.
Okay. All right.
I have a question.
Okay.
So when I look at the reserves, $279,000 for sewer, but we were going to replace garage doors. So is it just that we just haven't spent that money yet?
Are you looking at the statement of activity there?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. That's a plug figure. And it never actually, there's never really an entry that affects that, as far as that's just kind of encapsulating what we needed to balance the budget, what we're going to need from reserves to balance the budget. So what ends up coming from reserves is going to depend on, our revenue over expenses at the year end.
Okay.
Because our revenue is better, I expect that we're going to end up taking less than 279,000.
I don't recall the cost of the garage, the garage door, but I do see that we have money for the building, $8,000 in reserves.
For you're talking about the apartments?
Yes. Where is the money coming from for the garage doors? Not from the apartments, but from
capital projects
reserves.
Yes.
Capital projects.
Yes, that's going to, and that actually is going to come from reserves because it was on the budget the prior year, but it didn't happen. So the excess of revenue ended up sitting in reserves. So it's an expense that isn't showing here on the capital projects because it was actually carried over from the prior year. So it's coming directly from reserves, to answer your question.
Thank you.
And Dylan, what's that final figure that we're expecting on the garage doors?
The garage doors I believe we're at 43.
And how much did we put in
30,
reserve?
it was 37 to 43. And so I'm a little confused because I believe what had happened last year, because there's 2 different garage doors. So I thought that it was the year prior that the garage doors from the belt press had been held. I thought we had budgeted this year for the completion of the garage doors by May.
That was totally my mistake. Sorry about that. So yeah, it is that 65,000 that we budgeted. So we're under budget.
Right. And so I believe we're at between 37 and 43. I have different numbers in my head because of the apartment stairs as well. So without the number in front of me, forgive me.
The only reason I ask is because I was thinking that was a lot of money in reserve, and Sandra kind of jarred a memory that something wasn't right with the reserve number. Seems like there's a lot there. Yes.
The 279?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, and what ends up coming from reserve. So we design our budget based on what expenses we're going to incur. And then whatever we couldn't make up with the revenue that we have there, the user fees and all of that, then that's what has to come from reserves. So that's where that number is. That's why it's a plug figure. At the
So
end of the
does that
day, it
look like-
depends on what our revenue over expenses was.
Got it. So we'll know better in a month or so about that number, yes?
Yep. And again, I'll have some projected figures and projected year-end reserve levels at the April meeting.
We'll have some of
Thanks.
those figures at budget time too, I think, too, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Nice. Thanks, Mona.
Thank
We
you.
all set with the report?
I have one
next-
question.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's all right. I see that, oh my God, I'm reading the report on my phone. There's consultant, it seems like we budgeted 3,000, but we've spent 6,400. Well, maybe.
Yes. So
But I don't.
when properties have to have the review of the plans, that's where Jim's charge goes. But then the sewer goes in. They invoice the customer for that. So as we receive the money back from the customer for the plan review fees, that will go down.
Thank you.
And just to add, I did just receive a significant allocation connection check that should pretty much cover that. So we're
Nice.
we're standing pretty good with Jim.
Very cool.
Great.
Anything else? Let's get on to the operations report. Going.
Yep. Okay, let me just get down there. Just going back and forth. Okay, so as you can see, facility complied with all parameters of the RIPD's discharge permit. We did have a reduction or reduced efficiency in our ammonia reduction due to cold weather. Bacteria don't really do very well under 12 degrees Celsius. So we saw a little uptick there, but nothing to be concerned about. Our permit's around 85 parts per million, and we were at 3. So there was nothing there. Again, we were beset with a few clogs at certain pump stations, high flow event at the beginning of the month. We were on generator. For the most part, everything went well, but it was a late night. We did get everything back in order around 1 a.m. Police station lateral was found crushed, likely due to the equipment driving over there when the, I think when the installation of the cable had gone in right near there. Could be a number of reasons. It was a Fernco fitting, completely crushed. That was replaced. The unfortunate thing is without ripping up the street, another Fernco had to be added there, at least temporarily until that's rectified. But the overall, I was pleased with the piping and layout, and now we have a firm and solid understanding of where everything is. So, as well as some more cleanouts to aid anything if should it get clogged up there. A survey of Highview Lane. I inspected a proposal. Essentially, it was a sewer connection running down Highview Lane. Now that's off of High Street, right before the school on the corner. For the owner of Plat 8 Lot 250. I found the sewer manhole about 6 to 8 inches below grade. And upon opening that sewer manhole at the head of the line, I noted about 3 to 4 inches of sewage and grit at the bottom of the manhole. Only one discharge side on the manhole. So naturally, I assumed it was blocked. I got the evacuator over there. We cleaned out the line. I did note that a significant amount of water and debris was coming back, which is upstream. So that said to me that there had to be some type of an obstruction. I had called John, and I was able to flush the line from the surface and put about 40 gallons per minute through there for about 15 minutes and dye tested it. We moved a large mass through. Anyway, long story short, the survey conducted afterwards, we shot the elevations with A-Transu Corp. There's only 0.2 of pitch at 238 feet. So essentially, the line is flat. The most updated proposals I had were for an 8-inch line. I've confirmed that it is a 6-inch line, and there's multiple Ys going down there. There isn't sufficient pitch to maintain flow there with the limited number of annual customers, never mind anywhere else. So there's some concern there because there's a number of individuals that want to develop on Highview Lane, one urgently so, and especially the owner of Plat 8 Lot 250. I've done my very best to determine whether or not we had a lateral. I had a camera inspection with Kevin Hoyt. I was unable to get through the line. Currently, there is still about 1 inch of grit, sand, and sludge at the bottom of the line. So we're kind of just sitting and determining what to do with that. I have set up to clean the line, but we need to do something about it.
Gonna need to be replaced, won't it? If it's a flat line?
It's gonna have to be replaced.
Yes.
Yeah.
What does
Well-
Jim Jeremiah say about this?
Well, so we talked, I talked to Jim Jeremiah, so did Dylan, and we're gonna talk again tomorrow morning with Jim. And we're gonna meet with the town manager about this. And so what happened was the original contract was to put in an 8-inch line. For whatever reason, and I don't suppose we'll ever know the answer to this, because the person that installed the line isn't here to ask. But as near as we can determine, there was some reason why they put in a 6 versus an 8. I can't believe that the engineering called for what we've discovered up there, what Dylan has discovered. The line will have to be replaced. We've talked to Jim about it. He's working on the engineering for it. The question is, and some of the rest of the questions will have to wait till we can continue on our trek here. Originally, that piece of property was owned by one lady. I don't even know how many lots there are left, but the bottom line is the 6-inch line is going to need to be dealt with. We have a golden opportunity. They're going to be repaving the road that goes right by there. And Jim has said that he's on it and will get the engineering done. So when the road is ripped up, we can, worst case scenario, we will dig up and put a place that we can hook into. But we'd like to change the initial hookup, which was teed into the line coming down High Street, and put it into the manhole cover. I think that's where we want to go, but we've got to wait till we hear from Jim. I mean, he's on it. We've spoken to him. Dylan's spoken to him a number of times. But it is, we've gone up and walked the line and so forth and so on. We've got to shoot some grades, and then I know Dylan's already working on that. But this has taken up, Dylan and I were both there on Sunday, but it has taken up an inordinate amount of our time, and it just seems like it's hard to believe what we keep discovering up there. That it has waited this long to surface since 1996.
So was
No,
there
this is going to have to be completed.
Sorry.
This is going to have to be completed before High Street's repaved, correct?
Well, that's the plan. And Jim believes that if between the contractors that are available, our contractor and Boyle and Fogarty happens to be here, he believes that Boyle and Fogarty would have time to do the job. We would, Dylan and I, and I'm sure the commission are on the same page that we would like to keep the money home and on Block Island. And assuming that Bain is available, I'm sure that that's a job that he will complete in a timely fashion. But
Well,
we've got to get, first things first, we've got to get the engineering done. We've got to shoot some grades to figure out exactly what's what. I mean, we dug down literally about 3 or 4 inches below the surface, and we found the stub that was sent out to one of the customers that wants to hook up right away. It was literally 3 or 4 inches below the surface. I mean, I just don't quite understand what happened there, but there was clearly some errors in installation back in 1996.
I have a question. I have
Now,
two questions. One, was there conversation about putting in an intermittent manhole cover? And two, I understand that you want to keep the work local, but that was what they did in 1979. So the question is, will we not have time to go out to bid with this? Because I would like to get
Probably
the
not.
price if possible.
Probably not. Because most bids are 30 days. By the time the engineering gets done, and I'm not saying that's not possible, I'm just saying it's not likely. And there's some other things that we're not talking about here because I don't have answers to the questions. And as to whose responsibility it is, so forth and so on. That's why we're meeting with the town manager tomorrow at 8:30. I sent Jim a text hoping that he can tie into our meeting, and we'll have a lot more answers. And quite honestly, we may call for an interim meeting before next month's meeting to bring everybody up to date here, because it's a big deal, and time is of the essence. And this was something that Dylan didn't see coming.
Hey, Pete,
Yo, yep.
when you, or Pete or Dylan, when you have the meeting with Jim, or if I'm assuming it's going to be a Zoom meeting, whatever, can you include me in on that, please?
Yeah, we will. We can conference you, and we're going to try to do it in conference. Dylan and I are going to meet with
fine.
Mary Ann tomorrow at 8:30, and I just asked Jim to be available by phone. I think the majority of this can be resolved, but yeah, we'd be happy to patch you in.
Okay, now is this considered a private line? Is it not?
Yes, sir.
And so who's gonna be paying for it?
Well, it's kind of interesting. I just assume not comment on that right this second, Brad. I'll be. We'll just have to wait till see what tomorrow morning's meeting brings.
Okay. Okay.
I don't mean to be evasive. But it wouldn't be appropriate to make a lot of comments on exactly how this is going to get paid for, who's going to pay for it, how it's going to work. It's not appropriate right now. We just wanted to let you know that there's some things that we're working on, and I think between the 3 or 4 of us, I think we can come up with a viable solution.
Sounds good.
All right.
Hey, I have a question. It's Kathy.
Yeah.
Once we get the work done with Jim as far as what needs to be done up there, aren't we required to put this out to bid if it goes over a certain dollar amount?
Well, not if it's an emergency situation. No. And I guess what will remain to be seen if it turns out to be an emergency situation. I'm hoping that it does not, and I would love to put it out to bid, Kathy. I believe me, we're all on the same page here.
Okay, thanks.
There's nothing left on
Back to Dylan.
that. Yeah, I have nothing left on that. Just to end on a good note, the Jamie Cassidy passes grade 2, so staff is fully licensed on the wastewater operator end. So I'm very pleased to share that. It's a very difficult test, and Jamie worked hard studying for that, and he deserves that recognition. So kudos to him, and that's how I want to end it.
Excellent.
Boyd,
We'll give him congratulations from all of us.
Will do.
Okay, moving into Water District. Item 10, discussion and potential action regarding water financials and aging. Mona.
Hi, okay. So on water, if we just go ahead and flip next to the statement of activity, the first page of the income statement there. We already know that the water usage is a little inflated. I need to move that to a different line. I'm waiting to hear from Amy what line she feels would be appropriate to move JT Cleary, all of the charges related to JT Cleary, to separate them out from what's been charged to our customers. So if I take out JT Cleary, it's about $28,000. We come up with a year-to-date actual of $387,000 approximately. And so that puts us still at, we're 132.6% over what our budgeted figure. Again, we kind of, we budgeted really low. We really expected it to be like half as much usage as we had the prior year, but it didn't end up being that way. So we already know we under budgeted there. But compared to the prior year to date, we're still about 30,000 more than we were last year, year to date. So that's good news. We'll see that reflected in the projections, and we will also have that JT Cleary revenue moved to a different line just to kind of isolate it. Down on the expense side, same situation with Jim Jeremiah as far as the consultant line. We do have some things in there that will be some permit fees and such, I mean, plan review fees that will be recovered. Also, what we have in there are fees related to well 6, and that those expenses will be moved and incorporated with the total cost of well 6. So those will also be moved. And then other than that, we see electricity. We expected this. So the electric was a lot higher than we anticipated due to John having to make that much more water. So higher water production equals higher electricity costs. And that's why we're close to the line there. We're actually past it. And then the final note is just on the meters. I think we talked about this last month, but we've got some meters in there that John has taken care of for the sewer commission, and then he bills them later. So we will be seeing that number go down as well once the sewer is built.
Yeah, the meters will end up over, but it won't be, I do in June, I bill the sewer annually for the 50-50 split or whatever meters that we have to swap out, but that'll go over budget, I think, for both. But that was one of the things we cut to get under our COVID budget. So
right. Again, on the capital page, we just see the High Street water main, expenses accumulating there. We didn't budget any number for it yet. Any other questions?
Any questions, anyone?
Oh, got
I
the
have a
tax
question
sale
on the
to
aging.
report on if you'd like.
Go
So
ahead, Sandra,
as far
I think.
as, sorry.
That's all right. I had just one question on the aging, because this is as of the
Okay.
end of February, and you said that, you're close to collecting, on a lot of accounts. But there is account number 25, which I don't recall them ever being page 2. It's not a lot of
Yeah.
money, but they're never that late.
No.
Page 2?
No, they're not, but they did make the list of properties on the tax sale, and
Oh, God.
they have received a letter, and I have been in communication with them about the fees. So they're going to be on top
Not
of that.
something that I usually, I don't recall everybody, but okay. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
no, that was
I believe they lease that piece of property, I believe, to somebody else who they're going to collect from.
they purchased new allocation. They had some issues this summer. You know, it's that type of thing. It's an account that had some leaks and whatnot over the summer, and they had an inflated cost. So it probably has something to do with that. And they purchased new allocation as well.
So as far as the tax sale goes, we have 11 properties in at this point for the water tax sale. Again, that is scheduled for June 4th is when we're shooting for. I've heard from over half of those properties regarding payment. So I do expect by next meeting, we'll have a significant amount of these off the list.
Okay.
And for the most part, they're relatively small balances. We've got
Except for our standard one.
we've got, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that one's large. And again, I've been in contact with that owner, and they're working out the payments.
I believe 3 of the properties take up about 80% of the total amount to be collected. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
And one of the other large ones that didn't show up on this month's financials, it still shows as owing, but that actually got paid before there were tax sale charges, 110.
Right. Right. Yep. They're not on the list.
Because they paid.
Yep. 110. Yep. Paid in full.
Oh, is it? Okay. All right. Okay, if no other questions on that, we'll move on to operations. Excuse me.
Sure. I'll keep it brief. Really, we've started to wind up for spring and getting all those tasks done that need to happen, before, let's say, mid-April to June. A lot of this stuff in the plant. And then we started with seasonal turn-ons already. They'll start getting full swing at the end of March and into April. JT Cleary is pretty much wrapped up. I dealt with locating the water line down there. We were able to GPS it and get a better feeling on where it was, since there's really no as-built. But for water usage, they're all wrapped up, and seems like they're kind of demobilizing. But we have no more large water draws on us. They every once in a while take 500 gallons here, 500 gallons there, but not a big deal. On a COVID note, all staff has been fully vaccinated at this point, so we're breathing a sigh of relief at this point in time. So hopefully we can put it behind us when it comes to all the weird staffing, issues that we have in this small workplace with a small staff. So it's kind of a big moment for us, I'd say. If you guys don't have any questions on the operations report, I'll just move into the High Street. I'd like to spend my time talking about that, if that's fine.
That's fine.
As you see, if you've been up High Street or Payne Road, the Boyle and Fogarty is fully mobilized, and they started laying main today. So as of now, the 2 crews probably have, 150 feet of main in. One crew is working from about the Payne Farm driveway towards the school on Payne Road. The other crew is starting at the intersection of High Street and Payne Road and moving towards the Eureka Hotel. I've been, you've probably seen things in the Black Island Times, the Black Island Bulletin Board, about the traffic pattern, which is one-way southbound, so towards the school. Once you get past the construction area, the trenching area, which is currently at the school right now, you will not be allowed to head back into town. You will have to take Pilot Hill Road and go around either Mohegan Trail or Spring Street. I did it a bunch of times today. It's really not all that bad, but we appreciate everyone being understanding and patient during this time. And it really wasn't all that bad. I did it twice today, and it wasn't as long as I thought it would be. So I will continue to stay in communication with the school. I will be at pickup and drop off tomorrow to try to coordinate and see how it goes. So I've been in heavy communication with Christine Mange and Mike Convery at the school. And we'll see how it goes. The first day probably won't go all that well, but we're going to learn from what happens tomorrow. So the school sending out emails about parking and all this stuff. So we will learn with the school, and people are just going to have to be patient and arrive early. And there's no easy way around it. There's not a lot of room when you have a giant trench in the middle of the road and construction. So I'm asking for patience. So that's getting started, and it's great. I'm very excited. I've been planning this for 2 years, and it's exciting. Today's really day one of the project, and it's really exciting seeing Maine being put into the ground. So on the lower Water Street replacement, which is, if you remember, we're using excess funds, the grant portion of our grant loan, to replace a similar vintage pipe on lower Water Street. This is from Rebecca's down towards the old harbor dock. It's about 300 to 400 feet. It's minor in comparison to what we're doing. The other main replacement is 3,700 feet. So this is a much smaller project, but we've gotten all the approvals from USDA, CRMC, Jim has plans. This is all rolling forward at a pretty fast pace. Boyle and Fogarty, once they're done with the High Street Payne Road, they will head down there and complete that project. Temporary water is going to be the big part of that project, and actually doing and laying the main is really not that bad because it's not that long. So we will get there, and that will be another thing. I will be keeping the community in contact, with regarding traffic down there. I'm not quite there yet. And I would like to know, we're in the middle of the pump change and redevelopment of well 6. There was material on the bottom of the screen indicated from the camera that we put down it. More material was deposited during the work that we did. So we are currently working on doing an airlift. It's kind of like a giant vacuum to remove some of that material from the screen, and then the well can come back online. A good estimate is that, and I have horrible language here in my report, but this was done rather quickly. We have about 10 years left with well 6 is the estimate, just to, which is about what we thought. And, but that's a good estimate of how much time is left in that well. So it's my job to start coming up with either what we did with well 5, which is drill 3 to 5 feet away. And I'm starting those discussions with DOH now and everything else. So that we have to be prepared for that. I don't want to do what we did with well 5 and have it fail and then scramble. So anyway, that's it for me. If you guys have anything else, let me know. Questions?
Sounds like it's going well. What I saw the other day, they were certainly working quickly.
It's day one. There's plenty of days
Okay.
left. So cross our fingers that it's a project.
Okay, I had a brief discussion with Dave. So item 13 is kind of null and void at this point for next month. At this point, we don't need to go into closed session, correct, Dave?
We don't need to go into closed session, but we probably will next month.
Okay. All right. Very good. Moving on to item 14, that's the same thing. So I would like to circle back to item 4 since Pete's with us right now. Yeah, he's still on the line. Pete, your term is up on both sewer and water as a full member, chair of the sewer. Are you wanting to continue with that?
Sure.
Okay, so
Unless you're firing me.
well, do we have an option? Anyway,
Can we vote on that?
Just gonna
Sure,
say that, you
yeah.
took the words
Let's
right
vote.
out of my mouth.
Oh, come on, Sandra, that's not right.
Pete, there's no way.
Yeah, anyway,
okay, so actually, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to keep
So
doing my job. It's it's very rewarding. Truthfully speaking, I really enjoy working with all you guys, and as well as everybody at the water and sewer plants. And I think we get a lot done. I think we're a really good bunch of people, and so yeah, I'd like to stick around.
Okay, so I don't think would make a motion to keep Pete in there as the chair of the sewer department and voting member of the water. Do we need a second?
I'll second.
Oh, that was unwilling, it sounded like, but okay. So all in
No.
favor, Sandra,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
okay, let's see, Diane,
Aye.
Kathy,
Aye.
and Lars.
Aye.
Okay, and I don't think, Pete, you can vote on that, do you?
No,
Does
I
he?
don't think I vote on myself. I would vote nay
Okay,
anyway.
so motion carry. Anyone against? Anyone against? Okay. Moving on to item 15, public comment for items not on the agenda. Okay, motion to adjourn.
Motion
So
to
moved.
adjourn.
Okay, I'll second. All in favor? Sandra,
Aye.
Kathy,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Diane.
Aye.
Okay, Lars
Aye.
and Pete.
Aye.